Picture a guy standing outside a liquor store in the dead of winter. He has exactly $106 in his bank account. He's out of options, he's starting, and he's about to do the hardest thing he will ever have to do: sell his dog to a total stranger for $40 just to buy food. That crushing weight of financial panic, the feeling of being completely invisible and entirely out of moves, is a very real, very human anxiety. Most of us know what it's like to feel stuck in a corner, but that guy shivering outside the liquor store was a young Sylvester Stallone. The world looked at his face, listened to his voice, and immediately wrote him off as an outsider. His school records backed up that harsh judgment. He was a straight D student who got expelled from multiple schools for chronic behavioral issues. The institutions he passed through saw absolutely zero potential in his future. An adult guidance counselor even reviewed his profile and seriously advised him to pursue a career operating an elevator. With zero traditional paths open, he eventually moved to New York City to try acting, but his lack of polished looks left him totally isolated. The poverty hit hard. He got evicted and ended up sleeping in the Port Authority bus terminal for nearly a month. These institutional labels followed him everywhere. Most systems use standard metrics to predict potential, and for the gatekeepers in New York, a resume full of academic failure and physical anomalies served as a reason to stop looking any further. There were only 200 active talent agents in New York, but Stallone was rejected over 1,000 times. He went back to the exact same agents. Casting directors would literally crumple his headshots right in front of him or scream at him to go away. Seeing that no one was ever going to hand him a script, he realized he had to write his own. He took a job sweeping floors as a movie theater janitor. While he cleaned, he listened to the movies playing through the auditorium doors, reverse engineering the dialogue and pacing of hundreds of films to teach himself how to write. The spark finally caught in 1975. Stallone watched a televised boxing match between the heavy favorite Muhammad Ali and an unknown club fighter named Chuck Wepner. Wepner was supposed to get destroyed, but he miraculously refused to stay down, lasting 15 rounds. Stallone saw a perfect reflection of his own life in that ring. He rushed home, took all of his pain, poverty, and 1,000 crumpled headshots and poured them onto the page. Operating in a manic blur, he finished the entire first draft of Rocky in exactly 3 days. It is a harsh truth, but when the establishment builds a wall to keep you out, begging doesn't work. You have to build and own your own intellectual property to force your way inside. Hollywood studios actually loved the script, but there was a catch. They wanted a major, conventionally handsome star for the lead role, and they absolutely refused to let Stallone play Rocky. This graphic compares his bank account against the studio's offer. He had exactly $106, yet turned down $2.5 million. Taking the cash meant selling his identity to the industry that had spent years treating him like a joke. He held his ground until the studio finally caved. They let him star, but they slashed the budget to practically nothing. Stallone was forced to take a massive pay cut, accepting a bare minimum acting rate of just $350 a day. But he had a guaranteed paycheck. The very first thing he did was track down the man he sold his dog to. He stood outside that same liquor store for 3 days, eventually paying up to $15,000 just to bring his dog home. When you have already slept on the floor of a bus terminal, the fear of losing everything vanishes because you already know how to survive at the bottom. That lack of fear gave him the immense leverage needed to bet completely on himself. The risk paid off immediately. Made on a shoestring budget, Rocky shattered expectations and became the highest-grossing film in the world for 1976. The industry that mocked him was forced to applaud him. He secured dual Oscar nominations for Best Actor and Best Original Screenplay in the same year, placing him in an elite class shared by cinematic giants like Charlie Chaplin. He used that initial leverage to build an empire. Throughout the 1980s and beyond, he authored and led the global Rambo franchise, and decades later, engineered an entire late-career resurgence with The Expendables. This chart tracks the ultimate return on his stubbornness. The man who sold his first script for $100 generated a massive upward curve, culminating in a lifetime box office growth of $7.5 billion and an estimated $400 million net worth. Every single flaw the gatekeepers told him affects, the paralyzed lip, the heavy voice, the unconventional background, became the exact trademarks of a globally recognized brand. You do not need to fit neatly into the box society draws for you. When you refuse to surrender your identity, your deepest perceived weaknesses can become the exact tools you use to build your legacy.